the world of Western cinema, few rivalries are as iconic as cinematicas that of Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef. These two legendary actors defined what it meant to be a gunslinger on the silver screen. Their cold stares, lightning-fast draws, and unforgettable duels turned them into mythic figures of the Wild West. But the question remains, who was truly the better gunslinger? Let's dive into their most legendary roles, techniques, and styles, and decide who really ruled the frontier. We begin with Clint Eastwood, a name that became synonymous with the man with no name in Sergio Leone's Dollars trilogy. His breakout role in A Fistful of Dollars, 1964, introduced us to a gunslinger who barely spoke, rarely missed, and oozed quiet intensity. Eastwood's character blurred the lines between hero and outlaw. He wasn't there to save the town, he was there to settle the score. His gunfights weren't about style, they were about survival. But it was for a few dollars more, 1,965, that gave Eastwood a rival, Lee Van Cleef. As Colonel Douglas Mortimer, Van Cleef delivered a performance that was both cool and commanding. Dressed in black with a silver-handled pistol and precise movements, he brought a level of military discipline and experience to the role. His duels weren't chaotic, they were controlled, tactical, and almost poetic. His presence demanded respect. When both men returned for the good, the bad, and the ugly, 1966, fans were gifted with one of the greatest Western showdowns of all time. Eastwood played Blondie, a laconic bounty hunter with nerves of steel. Van Cleef, as Angel Eyes, was a cold-blooded assassin whose cruelty was hidden behind a polite smile and a dark hat. The final three-way duel in the cemetery remains one of the most iconic scenes in cinema history and a masterclass in tension, timing, and gunslinger aesthetics. While Eastwood continued to dominate the Western genre, expanding his range in High Plains Drifter, 1973, Pale Rider, 1985, and the Oscar-winning Unforgiven, 1992, Van Cleef found his niche in the spaghetti western boom of the late 1960s and early 70s. In Death Rides a Horse, 1967, Van Cleef played a grizzled outlaw mentor, teaching a younger gunslinger the deadly rules of revenge. In Sabata, 1969, he embodied a stylish and mysterious vigilante armed with trick guns and unmatched agility. These films showcased his precision, flair, and ability to steal every frame with just a glare. One of Eastwood's greatest strengths was his ability to portray silent, morally gray characters. In Unforgiven, his character William Money is a retired killer forced back into violence. It's a painful, haunting portrayal of what it really means to live by the gun. His movements are slower, but his shots still deadly. It wasn't just a performance, it was a deconstruction of everything the cowboy gunslinger had stood for. In contrast, Van Cleef often played seasoned professionals' characters who were dangerous not just because of their skill with a weapon, but because of their calculated intelligence. In Day of Anger, 1967, he trains a young protege in the art of gunfighting, only to become his enemy when power gets in the way. In The Big Gun Down, 1966, he plays a bounty hunter whose sense of justice is challenged as he uncovers the truth behind his praised past. Van Cleef's gunslingers weren't as mysterious as Eastwood's, they were clearer in purpose, but no less deadly. Where Eastwood brought silence and suggestion, Van Cleef brought dialogue and dominance. Eastwood could kill with a look. Van Cleef would let you know exactly why you deserve to and then pull the trigger with surgical precision. In terms of style, Eastwood's gunslingers felt more grounded in myth. He was often the lone wanderer, barely touched by time or law. Van Cleef's characters were men of the world, once part of it, shaped by it, and sometimes burdened by it. Their influence remains unmatched. Every modern gunslinger from Josh Brolin in Old Boy to Timothy Olyphant in Deadwood owes a debt to Eastwood's smoldering silence or Van Cleef's seasoned confidence. Quentin Tarantino paid homage to both in Django Unchained, and The Mandalorian brought their aesthetics to a galaxy far, far away. So, who was the better gunslinger? If you value myth-making, silent intensity, and transformative presence, Clint Eastwood may take the title. He was the cowboy who never missed, never blinked, and always rode off alone. But if you appreciate technical skill, icy delivery, and calculated danger, Lee Van Cleef is your man. His gunslingers weren't just fast, they were deliberate, dangerous, and always a few steps ahead. The truth? Maybe the West was big enough for both. Whether you're watching Blondie light a cigar before a standoff, or Mortimer slowly load his revolver to the tune of a pocket watch melody, you're witnessing the best of what the gunslinger archetype has to offer. So now it's your turn, partner. Who do you think was the deadlier shot? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more cinematic Western face-offs and legendary showdowns.